Okay, good morning, guys. Today we're looking at the last lesson in our linear relations unit. So if you want to turn in your book to 4.5, 4.5 starts on page 170. So turn to 4.5, 170. You need a ruler, or if you don't have a ruler, just some kind of like edge of a book or edge of your calculator, something that you can make a straight edge with. Okay, so the topic for today is using graphs to estimate values. So today we're going to be looking at graphs that are in a context, meaning there's some kind of situation with them, and we're going to look to find values on the graph. So why we're estimating is because what's going to happen is they're going to be asking us something about the graph, and the point that we're looking for is not necessarily going to be recorded on the graph, so we have to use estimation to help us find that value, what that value would be if the pattern continued. So there's two kind of fancy math terms for that. The first one we're going to look at is called interpolation. So interpolation means that basically you have points on your graph, but you're looking to estimate a value between two of the points that were given. So that's when you interpolate. So inter means between, so we're looking between. So the first example says, this graph shows the distance traveled for Bobby's family on a trip from Calgary to Moose Jaw. How long did it take his family to travel 320 kilometers? So what we're going to be looking at here is interpolating. So we're looking for basically in the point is hours, right? That's the axis here first. The independent goes first. So how many hours did he travel? I'm just going to read hours. And then how many kilometers, or how long did it take versus how many kilometers. So in the situation they give us, they've told us the 320 of the point, but they haven't told us the time. So what we're going to do is we're going to find the 320 on the graph, and we're going to interpolate. So where your ruler comes in handy is to make a line. So when you find 320, you can go straight across at 320 to find your graph. And then where it connects to your graph, you can go down to the next axis. So we're going down to this one here, and you can see where it lines up. So it's not always going to line up right at a whole number, so that's where you're going to have to use some approximation. But here it looks like it lines up right at the 4 hours. So how long did it take his family? It took 4 hours. Okay, so we're going to use units telling what our number is recording. So you can see here there was a point at 2 hours, there was a point at 5 hours, but there was no point at 4, so they just connected, and then we went between those points to see how long it would take. Okay, so you can pause the video, try and do this one down here. Okay, so for this one, we're looking at the cost of fuel. So how many liters will tell you the cost. So use the graph to determine the following values. The cost of 15 liters of fuel. So find 15. So it looks like we're counting. This is 10, this is 20. So in between would be counting by 5s. So 15 would be here. So you can use your ruler to go up to your graph. Find where it connects, and then go across from there. So it's not at a whole number. Oops, that was a bad job. So it's not connecting at a whole number here. So we're going to have to use some estimation. So it looks like we're somewhere between 10 and 15. So if you connect with your line, it's hard because the iPad's in the way for me to do this, but looks like if we go across, we're a little bit lower than 15. So I would say anything. So you could say approximately. So that's the sign for approximately. I would accept like $13 or $14 is fine. So anything in that kind of range. So next, the quantity of fuel that can be purchased for $10. So they give us the $10. So now we're going across at the 10 mark here. So if you go across at the 10 with your ruler, you kind of hit just beyond this point here. So I would think that would be either 11, approximately 11 liters, or 12 liters looks good. So you can use your ruler, use a nice thin, like if your pencil sharpened, you should get a nice connecting line across to see where you line up there. Okay, so for the next one, so that was interpolation, so that was between the points. The next one we're looking at is when you don't have points that go as far as your data or as far as you're looking. So that's called extrapolation. So for extrapolation, you often have to redraw the graph so you can kind of extend the graph. There might be not room on the graph or room on the grid. If you're doing like textbook work or a practice question on a sheet, you may need to redraw the graph if it's not possible to extend. So here in the question it says, on his family trip from Calgary to Moose Jaw, Bobby wants to predict how long it will take for 640 kilometers. So if you're looking here, we stop at 400 and we don't have any values beyond that. So this is where it would be helpful to redraw, especially if you have grid paper. So the more accurate you redraw your graph, the better. So grid paper is going to be essential to redrawing it accurately, because you can see how it's got two nice points that line up there, and so that's going to help you with your redrawing. So here I'm just going to put some points. I'm going to try and redraw this graph down here. So this is going to be 2 for me, this is going to be 4, this is going to be 6. So take some time to redraw your graph. Maybe use the scale like a centimeter or something, or if you have grid paper, you can do it on that instead. So I'm going up by centimeters here, kind of as accurately as I can, so I don't know how high I'll have to go, but it looks like we're counting by 80s on the side. So 80, 160, 240, 320, 400. So that's as high as my graph went. Now I want to keep going for 80, 540, and I'm going to 640. So I got to keep going here. So I'm going to have to keep extending. So I'm at 600. Oops, never mind, we're counting by 80s. Okay. So then when you're extrapolating and you're trying to redraw your graph, use the actual points that they give you. So they give you 2, 160. So at 2 and 160, I'm going to have a point. And it looks like at 5 and 400, I have a point. So 400 is across here. 5 is up here. So I'd have a point here. So that's going to give you the general shape of your graph, and it cuts through 0, 0. So I'm going to try and connect these points here. And now I'm looking at 640. So 640 would be about here. So going across. Oh, and it looks like I need to extend this as well. So that's 8 hours, 10 hours. Okay, so 640 goes out here. I'm just going to kind of do a line to line up, and then once I find that intersection, I can go down. So it looks like it's going to end up being about 9 hours, so approximately 9 hours for 640 kilometers. Okay, try the next graph. So they give you some space to extend here, so just go along. Make sure you're using a ruler for accuracy. So here they're looking for 30 liters of fuel. I got a bump in my ruler. So that would be over here. So oh, I went the wrong way. So it's 30 liters, not $30. So 30 liters is here. So if I go up at the 30 liters, I'm trying to look for the cost. So the cost would go across here. So if halfway is 25, I would say approximately $26 or $27 is good. Okay, so now you can pause and try the practice, and then unpause the video to check your answers. So for the first one here, they took the context out, so it's even easier. So they're just saying, what's the value of x when y is 3? So you just have to go along your x or your y-axis here and find 3. So it'd be going to find your line. The line doesn't go far enough, so that's where we have to extend our line. So if we extend the line and then we go across at y equals 3 to find it, we go down, looks like we're intersecting at 5 on the x-axis. For the next one, what about when x is 1? So x is 1 is here. So we don't go up to find our line. It looks like the line is down. So here it would be. So cross at the y, looks like we're matching at -1. For the next one, they went when y is 4. So we're going to have to extend again. So when y is 4, that's up here. If you go across to find your line, looks like it's going to intersect when x is 3. So basically what they're doing is they're looking for a point. The point when y is 4, what is x? So you just have to find on the graph when y was 4, and then tell us what the x value would be there. For the next one, x is -4, that's way over here. So the graph would connect. So it looks like we're counting by ones. So that would be at -3. Okay, for the next one, it says this graph shows drilling depths. Estimate the depth drilled in 1 day. So how long would it take, or how deep would they drill in 1 day? So here's 1 day. So we go up to the line and across. It looks like they're digging 500 meters. Estimate the time taken to drill a depth of 750 meters. So if we're counting by 250s, 750 would be here. So if you go across with your ruler and then down, it looks like that's about a day and a half. Estimate that how much depth will be drilled in 3 days. So we're going to have to extend the line for this one. So 3 days is here. So if you go up with your ruler, looks like I'm going a little under the 1500 mark. So we could say approximately 1400 meters or somewhere around there. So for estimations, as long as it's close. And then we're looking for the last one at 2000 meters. How many days would that take? So we'll go across and then down. Looks like that one's lining up at 4 days, approximately 4 days. Okay, work on the unit puzzle now. See how, if you can draw the perspective and then answer the question, what do you see? So this is just a horizontal line through 4. This is an equation of a line. You have to generate the points to graph that line. Here's 3 sets of points in a line, so connect them. And then here it wants you to plot these sets of points to join together. It should make a picture for you. Okay? All right, have a good day. You'll be working on the chapter review on Wednesday because we'll be at the completion of the unit.